Hi, and welcome to Foundations of Business, Chapter 8 video lecture. Chapter 8 is Organization and Teamwork. In this chapter, you should be able to explain the major decisions needed to design an organization structure, define 4 major types of organization structure, explain how a team differs from a group, and describe the 6 most common forms of teams, highlight the advantages and disadvantages of working in teams, and list characteristics of effective teams. Review the 5 stages of team development and explain why conflict can rise in team settings. Explain the concept of an unstructured organization and identify the major benefits and challenges of taking this approach. And finally, describe the use of task bots and robotic procession automation in contemporary business. Okay, so let's start off. Organization structure. Framework that enables managers to divide responsibilities, ensure employee accountability, and distribute the decision-making authority. The organizational chart is a diagram that shows how employees and tasks are grouped and where the lines of communication and authority flow. If anyone's ever worked for a small organization, a mom and pop type of business, and the one owner comes in and tells you to do something, and then the other owner comes in and tells you to do something else, and they both want them done immediately, and there aren't complementary tasks, you know the frustration in not having a proper organizational chart with only one supervisor that you report to. Okay, so this is a simplified organization chart. As you can see, each person reports to another person and only one other person. Everything is in order. Okay, so if the president wants this person to do something, the president needs to tell the VP of Finance, the VP of Finance needs to tell the manager of cost accounting, and the manager of cost accounting needs to tell the manager of financial planning. That may seem like a lot of red tape. However, this manager here knows the jobs, or should know if they're a good manager, the jobs that the manager of financial planning has, and can organize it and prioritize it in such a way that this person isn't responsible for doing 2 things simultaneously and not getting either one of them done correctly, more than likely. So the job of this person here, supervising this person, is to make sure that the priorities and the tasks are accomplished in such a way that satisfies the VP, which satisfies the president, but that doesn't completely frustrate the financial planner. Okay. Identifying core competencies. A core competency is an activity that a company considers central and vital to its business. It's what makes the business unique. It's the difference between this business and another business. Okay. Work specialization. Specialization is in or responsibility for some portion of an organization's overall work task, also called division of labor. Teaching this class is a division of labor. I'm teaching this class, and Mr. Powers is teaching another section of this class, and Dean Godwin is teaching a third section of this class. That you know which class to go to because you were assigned to one of the 3 of us. We don't teach the class the same way, even though we use the same textbook. Our tests are different, and our homework's different. So if you went to a different class with Mr. Powers or Dean Godwin, you would not learn or not have similar measurements or similar exams for what you're learning. So in other words, if you went to Mr. Powers or Dean Godwin's classes and then took my test, you probably wouldn't do as well as if you were in my class and took my lecture and experienced my lectures and then took my tests, the tests that I give. So that's the division of labor. If you went to another class, a class that Miss Byers is teaching, or a class that Dr. Scott is teaching, that wouldn't teach anything about foundations of business. So that's how we divide the labor in academia is by classes. Chain of command, pathway for the flow of authority from one management level to the next. Span of management, the number of people under one manager's control, also known as span of control. Depending on the organization, the span of control should be between 5 and 15 people. Okay? According to all the research that has been done that I've read or have heard of, any more than 15 people and you really aren't able to manage that large of a group. Okay? Any less than 5, unless they're highly specialized, is wasting some of your efforts because you're not communicating to enough people. Okay? So those are the ideal ranges of it. Okay? And then simplified line staff structure. Okay, so here we have the director of special projects that reports to the director of Austin Lab, who reports to the director of Santa Clara Lab, who reports to the vice president. Or, depending on how they have it worked, they could say that all these directors report right to the vice president. And the way this chart is, I think the second way that I said that is probably accurate. It really depends on how the structure is with this. These two people would report to the vice president of sales. These three people probably report to the director of sales, and then so on and so forth. Okay. This one is a little bit confusing. It's better if they're horizontal like this instead of vertical. When you're vertical, people will assume that this person's at the bottom of the totem pole, bottom of the ladder, and reports up like this. So if you're going to have, if these three people are equal, they should be like this, horizontal. And then that way, there's no doubt. So if these three people here report to this person, there should be one line and then branch it out, and then those three people would be equal on this chart. Centralization versus decentralization. Centralization, concentration of decision-making authority at the top of an organization. So if they say that they can't make a decision, it has to come from home office, that's a sign that it's a centralized structure, model, organization. Decentralized, delegate the decision-making authority to employees in lower level positions. So if the cashier at Walmart can adjust the price when you say, well, no, that one's on sale for $2.99, not $5.99, and then they adjust the price to $2.99, that's a decentralized move because that's giving the authority to the cashier to be able to make that decision. Flattening an organization. Flattening means you eliminate layers. Okay, so in this situation here, they eliminated this layer right here, which business unit 1, 2, 3, 4, and they just made it group 1 and group 2, and then the bottom layer. So they eliminated this middle layer. With technology, we've been able to flatten organizations because the computers and the connection with computers and organizational systems have made it so that this middle layer isn't needed anymore because the computers are doing what this middle layer used to do. Okay. Agile Organization, a company whose structure, policies, and capabilities allow employees to respond quickly to customers' needs and changes in the environment. Okay. All the new hand sanitizers that are out that weren't out 6 months ago, that's an example of companies changing. The latest one that I saw was Suave, now has hand sanitizer, which they didn't have before. So they immediately saw a need. They were able to modify their production and create hand sanitizer. Okay. So that's an example of Agile Organization. Departmentalization is grouping people within an organization according to function, division, matrix, or network. So function means that you're grouping people together that are similar in their skills, resources, and expertise. Okay? So grouping all the, if you're a construction company, grouping all the electricians together would be a functional structure. Grouping all the plumbers together, grouping all the roofers together, that's all functional. Okay? Division structure is grouping departments according to similarities, product, processes, customers, or geography. So if you just draw a map and say, okay, everybody in Oklahoma, now you're all part of one division. Okay, so that's divisional structure because you're just doing it based on geography. Suave might have done something with hand sanitizers, saying, okay, now hand sanitizers are in the same process as shampoo. So now they're going to be part of the shampoo structure division because it has a similar process. I don't. That's just an example I made up. I don't know if that's true or not. But that would be an example of how to do it in process. Products could just be with like Tide, all the Procter and Gamble with Tide. Procter and Gamble is the company that makes Tide. So they could say everything that has the Tide name on it is part of the same division. Everything has the name Gain on it. So you know, the fabric softener, the liquid ore sheets, the laundry detergent, the new crystals that they have, anything with the word Gain on it, the brand Gain on it, could be considered in the same division. That would be another way of doing it. Okay. One advantage of doing it for customers is that the customer only has to deal with one person or one group instead of everything. So, like with Procter and Gamble, if it's based on just Tide or just Gain, well, then you're having a representative from Procter and Gamble that represents Tide come in and talk to the grocery store, and then you're having a representative from Gain coming in talking to the same grocery store owner, and the grocery store owner's like, well, you're both from the same company. Why am I talking to two different people? And you're taking up twice as much as my time when we could just have talked to one person about both Tide and Gain and came to a conclusion, and you wouldn't have wasted my time. So that might be one reason why you would want to do it based on customers, so they don't have to deal with a lot of different people. Okay. Customer division, we already talked about that. Let's come down here. So business use social networking technology to foster collaboration, recruit employees, understand target markets, recruiting employees. Remember, that's LinkedIn and other ones like that. And I recommended on the first video lecture to open up a LinkedIn account and get it as established as you can and start requesting connections for this purpose. Monitoring company and brand reputation, onboarding new employees, and integrating company workforce. Onboarding new employees is getting new employees oriented to the company and doing all the hiring paperwork, as well as letting them know everything about the organization, or even just about the physical location of things. Now, where's the break room? Where's the bathrooms? Where do you report? Where do you clock in if you clock in? Those types of things. Then business use social network technology continued to support customer services, extending the organization, identifying opinion influencers. This is huge. I mean, there's so many opinion influencers right now that people are relying on to then decide whether they want to purchase something or not. So you want to make these people very happy with your products so that they can recommend them to other people. Okay. And we're just about out of time. So let's go here. Advantage of working in teams, increased diversity, lower levels of stress, and improved flexibility and responsiveness. Disadvantages, inefficient, groupthink, everybody might just agree and move on even if that's not the best solution. Diminish individual motivation, structural disruption, and excessive workloads. You know, you've been in groups before where one person is given more than anybody else to do, and so that's excessive workload. Characteristic of effective teams, clear sense of purpose, excuse me, open, honest communication, creative thinking, accountability, focus, and decision by consensus. And then here's a model that shows that. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this chapter, and we'll see you for chapter 9.